Hi, everybody. I am just going to go over some prompting and some changes to the prompting on the sessions. So, just to give you a little background, especially for Christian. So, this is the dashboard where we input all our data and just create the programs. So, I go to Daniel and we go down here. So there's something called a learning tree and there's something called a session notes. So basically the learning tree, if you can just visualize it as a binder with all of the programs and data in them. So that's what the learning trees are. The sessions are the actual data sheets where you take the data. So we have a lot of sessions, a lot of data sheets for this guy. So we have recreation, we have maintenance, we have community, we have weekly programs. So these are all of them, all of the sessions. And when you go on Central Reach, these are your options. If they're, I mean, you might just see community and weekly, which is what you should see, because we can set it up that the others are hidden. The community and the weekly. So for our purposes, we're just talking about community and weekly. So I'm going to just talk about those for a minute and specifically the language programs and prompting. So we are going to shape up the chores as well with the prompting. But for now, I'm only going to talk about Daniel's language programs. And I'm going to start with his home ABA, which is called Daniel's, let me see what it's called in here. Clients, Daniel. How it reads when you're looking at it in Central Reach. It should say this. It should say this, which we can change the name to be something more accurate, but how you do that, click here. Let me just see if I can do that. I don't know. Nope. I don't know how you do that. But right now it says Little Learners Client Learning Tree. That's Daniel's standard ABA home data sheet. So we go down here to his language. His basic communication right here. Okay, guys. So in his asking for help, I know that there's been some confusion with saying a cue. A cue is not a prompt. A cue is you're like giving him a sign that you want a response. A prompt is the actual response that you want him to repeat back. So it could be full or it could be partial when we're talking about verbal. Here, asks for help. So you're going to wait 5 seconds. So for example, Daniel's trying to open a can of SpaghettiOs and he gets stuck and he kind of like is looking at you for help, needs help, one or the other. And you're thinking, how do I get him to ask me for help? And I'm going to take data on that. So right now, he is going to be waiting. You're going to be waiting 5 seconds to see if he'll ask for it first, because you're going to look at him expectantly, and expectantly is like, okay. And he knows, he kind of knows if he is really relayed, like really in the present moment and not distracted. He knows if you look at him that you're waiting for him to ask for help. So the thing is, like, how do we take data on these things, right? I'm going to change this to partial prompt. So it's a partial verbal. So you'll say, excuse, like that and stop. And that's going to equal independent, because that's really as far as we're going to go with him. If he starts to naturally answer when you're just waiting 5 seconds, that's great. But he might get distracted sometimes. He might not be in the moment sometimes, and he might need a partial prompt. Do I want to keep him on this target forever just because he's never going to be independent? No, that's not what we do. We talk about a thing called mastery criteria. What is our end game? What is our final goal with this target? For Daniel, and for every learner, it's different. For Daniel, it's partial prompt is going to be independent. It's going to be our end game, and we're going to be psyched about that. That's going to be it. However, you are going to wait 5 seconds on most of these kind of functional communication targets, like thank you, like help, like please, like excuse me. Okay, so partial prompt equals independent. So what are you going to score when you go over here and you're going to put data in and you're like, okay, I need help. You waited, the can was there, you looked expectantly, he didn't say anything, and then you went, excuse me, I like that. That is the prompt that you're given for I need help. It's partial, it's built in, it equals independent. Okay. So if you get that, you're going to get 90% about what I'm going to tell you right now. So here we go. Basic communication, ask for help. Let's see what else. Go down here. And then, so the I need help is in basic communication up here. It could very well also be down here in social communication, could fall under the same umbrella. However, that's the way it's organized right now. So I am going to show you these. All right. So here we go. Again, says, I'm sorry, or excuse me. You're going to wait the 5 seconds with an expectant look. And then you're going to partial prompt. And guess what? I'm going to add it. That is going to be independent, because that's our end game. That's as far as we're going to get. He's never going to be 100% independent. Never say never. He might. But for now, because he has moments of distractedness, moments of behavior, 9 times out of 10, he's going to need a partial prompt. Okay. So those are our social communication targets. Same with thank you. Okay. I need help. Thank you. You're not going to ever, did I ever say ever? Say, what do you say? That's a cue. He doesn't need a cue. You can't fade a cue. You are going to be saying that forever. You could fade a prompt. You can't fade a cue, because the prompt is the actual thing you want him to say. And you don't ever have to make it go away. You could just stop saying it when he becomes independent. However, independence for Daniel looks more like a partial prompt. So that's what we're doing. Partial prompts equals independent. Thank you very much. Says thank you. Oh, okay. I'm going to write it down here. Also equals independent. Partial prompt equals independent. All right. And I'm also going to wait that 5 seconds, because it bears repeating. I don't want you to forget that. A lot of times he will do it. Okay. Same says, excuse me. You wait 5 seconds, give an expectant look, and then you give a partial prompt and mark it independent. If he says what he's supposed to say, gives the desired response. You know what the desired response is. You wanted to say, I need help, or thank you, or excuse me. Okay, guys. So, all right, very, very good. So let's go to conversations. Right here. Okay. Asks WH questions, personal information. That's on no prompts. Okay. So let's go down to tell me about a story. Okay. I want to show you what this looks like from my ends. So the blue data line is Ashley, and the black data line is Jen, and there's no data line. Wait, here's Christian. There's a data line for Christian over here. It's the light green. Okay. So as you can see, Jen and Christian are getting pretty much zeros. It looks like you're scoring full verbal prompts and partial prompts. Both of you guys. Jen is full verbal. Okay. For Ashley, we're getting some independent, some full verbal, and some partial verbal. So the questions are, I saw the blank was they were. So it says that tell me about the story video with no script is going to be a gestural prompt, and it's going to be a 5-second delay, and the gestural prompt is going to count as independent. However, I'm going to change this because it looks like the prompts are mostly full and partial. So what we're going to do is we're going to build in a prompt, but it's not going to be partial, and it's not going to be gestural. We're going to do it with no script, but we're going to do a full verbal prompt because that's what he needs according to the data. Mostly. Wait. Come back. Full verbal prompts. And that's going to equal, guess what, guys? Because it's built in, it's going to count as independent. And we're going to do that for 6 sessions. This is like how it usually goes, systematic. It's for 6 sessions. Then we're going to try a cold probe and see what kind of responses we get with the cold probe after doing it for full verbal for that many days and reinforcing it. Then we're going to fade it possibly to partial, build that partial in, and guess what that's going to equal? You guessed it, independent. We're going to do that for 6 days. Then we're going to cold probe, see what kind of answers we get. We're not going to help them. See what we get. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll be ready for independent. Okay, I'm going to stop there for now because I need to take a phone call. It's Gladys. Okay, guys. I don't know how to stop the video. Let me see. There we go. End record. Okay, I'm back. I didn't know I could do that. I stopped it and started again. Okay. So, independent for 6 sessions. Tell me about the story video. No script. It's going to be full verbal prompt. You're going to score it as independent at full verbal for 6 sessions. Then we're going to try it with no prompt for 1 day. See how he does, and then figure out if he still needs full prompt, if we can go to partial. So that is exactly how you do prompt and prompt fading. That is the process. It's very systematic. Okay, so I think we covered all of that. Community. There are two, Christian, I don't know if you realize this, you haven't been using the community data sheet. I'm not saying that to call you out. You're just learning about this stuff. So I'm teaching you in case you didn't know it. We're going to go here and we go to the sessions. The sessions are the data sheets. We have a community outings one. So let's see what that's about. All right. Okay, so this is what the view of the actual session notes. You can use a laptop and you can access this session notes. I think Jen actually does it by her phone because the mobile app is the mobile app. And now this is how you log in to the website, the Central Reach website. And this is what the data sheet looks like on the website. So these are your targets. Prompt to say, excuse me, and redirect to ISB. I'm going to just put that on hold because I have questions about that I have to ask. Asks for help. You're going to wait 5 seconds. This is just like the home one. Wait 5 seconds, then partial prompts, and that's going to be scored at independent. And guess what? That's our mastery criteria. Scoring at doing a partial prompt is our mastery criteria. Because historically, when we look at the data, sometimes he gets independent, sometimes he gets a partial prompt, and it's never consistent. On average, he needs a partial prompt, and that's our end game, partial prompt. We're going to do the same with thank you. We're going to do the same with excuse me. You're going to wait that 5 seconds and give the expectant look always on all of those things, because we're always hoping for independence, but we have the partial prompt in our back pocket, and that's still going to be counted as independent. Okay. Makes requests in the community using the communication device. It's a full verbal, and that would equal independent. We're going to do that for 6 sessions and then cold probe it and fade. The reason being why I'm not doing a partial is because I looked at the data and he needs a full for that still, mostly. Okay. Now, let's talk about conversations. Okay. So the general conversations, he needs a gestural. I know that because I looked at the data. He needs a gestural, and the gestural is prompting to his talker. Okay. So gestural is going to equal independent for conversations using the talker. We need to get a talker that's louder. And I meant to tell his mom that just now, but I'm going to talk to her about that. General conversations before restaurant conversations before eating, conversations after eating. What do they look like? Okay. So you're asking him questions, and you'll see it on Central Reach. They're written out questions, just like when you take the other data. Gestural is independent for all of these. Gestural is independent for all of these. Okay. As long as you gesture to it and he does what he's supposed to do. Now, this is on the community data sheet. Christian, you need to click on the community data sheet on your app, and you need to take this data in that when you're out in the community eating. I don't know if you were told that. So now you know. Let's see, general conversations. Okay. Yes. There is one little issue Jen cued me in on that I want to, and then I'm going to end this video. And we can talk about it and follow up with it and like ask a million questions, and I'm happy to do that. So, Little Learners Client Learning Tree Skeleton, that's his main learning tree, which is his data book. Let's look, or his program book, you could call it a program. Let's look over here. Not what I wanted. Okay, client goals. All right. So let's look at the basic conversations. I'm looking for something in particular that Jen told me about. So all of these conversations, same as with community. Greetings. This is very interesting. So we were at the Wegmans yesterday, and Jen was like, what do you say? That's a cue. And I understand you've been using that. We're not going to use that anymore. We're going to go like this so Danny could see you as a prompt. Okay, hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. I have to stop it because my daughter's calling me. So that point is very important. So this is the prompt that we're building in. You're doing this, and in his periphery, so he could see it. And I did it, and he said, bye. He knew exactly. I just went like that, and he knew. So you could alternate between that and just pointing to the other person. He knows what you want. Trust me, he knows what you want. The thing is, you have to do the least intrusive prompt that you're going to be able to fade to get him to independence. This is it. Better than, what do you say? Just because you can fade that so easy. You could fade it to this, which is kind of my end goal, I'm thinking, but we're going to see how it goes according to the data. So you're going to only wait 2 seconds on this, because you're not going to wait 5 seconds to say bye to somebody. That feels like an eternity. You're going to do this, and you're going to wait 2 seconds. If he doesn't do it, the error correction would be to say the full verbal prompt, which is not what do you say? It's bye. Or if it's a greeting, hello or hi, he's going to know that that's the full verbal, and he's going to repeat it. You don't need to say, what do you say? But for the most part, he's going to be 100% if you do a wave in his face like that, not his face, like his periphery. Says thank you. Wait 5 seconds with an expecting look. Partial prompt equals independent. This is all the same across the board in the community as well as home. Okay. There is some of these things I have to just hide away because they don't need to be here. The WH questions. There's some questions I have that I wrote down that I will follow up. That's one of them on that. But there is, I think, the interview. I'm looking for the interview conversation. It might be in social communication. Let me see. I changed the heading from social to social communication. Social communication's right here. So in social communication, we have greetings. We have says thank you. 10 conversational exchanges. So maybe tell me about a story is here. And it hasn't been run since June 16th. So also these conversational exchanges, if you can see, May 22nd. So I got to ask Ashley what we're doing with that. That might be on hold, or it just might be something that we have to reintroduce. I'm not sure. But I'm not going to waste your time trying to find the thing I'm looking for. Maybe it's in conversations. Give me one more second. The conversations. So for the conversations, we're not going to use a script. We're going to wait 5 seconds. And then we're going to use a gestural. And the gestural is going to count as independent, just like in the community conversations. Same. Man's for information. This is from the communication partner. Okay, this is where Danny's asking you questions. We're fading the script and we're going to count the gestural prompts as an independent. However, Jen had said, and I'm going to put this in here, even though it's going to be so long and ridiculous. Jen had said she needs to make him wait because he wants to read everything all at once. Because this does, I believe, this does have a script. This particular one, this is the only one that has a script. It's like the interview. So he wants to read it all at once and not give time for the person to respond. Obviously, that's a very important conversational skill. So Jen has been making him wait. I say wait once, and then for the rest of the time, put your hand up. Okay? So I'm going to say, and that's a cue. Why is it a cue? Because you don't want him to lift his hands up. You're just cueing him. A prompt is what exactly you want him to do. It's giving him the answer. This is just a cue. So cue, hand up, and or wait. The less of the restrictive prompts is to put the hand up. So if that works, just do that. So the gestural prompt is going to count as independent. So if you have to point to his talker. Yeah, honestly, if I'm off base here, please correct me. I think he uses a talker for this. Let me just say, what is your name? How old are you? How many siblings do you have? He's asking you these questions. And I believe it's in his talker. So the gestural prompt will be equaling independence. We're building in the cue. It's still independent with the cue. I'm building it in. We are going to fade it. How long are we going to do the cue? We are going to do the cue for, I would say, 6 sessions. That's pretty rule of thumb. That's pretty rule of thumb. For 6 sessions. Then we'll cold probe it and see what happens. He might not need that cue anymore. All right. So having said that, this is a very important thing. Ashley, Christian, Jen, we no longer need to cold probe yet. I have looked at the data. I know where he's at. I built in the prompt. I'm telling you what prompt is going to be built in and how you're going to score it. Everybody should be completely on the up and up as far as that. In addition, I could always write out a program schedule with every program and what prompt you're on, and that's helpful sometimes too. If you need that, I will do that. Be honest with what you need. Don't be shy. Good data is the end goal for all of us, right? So, and the real end game is to help Danny become as independent as possible. And with that, I say thank you for all your hard work. And I hope you enjoy the video. I did enjoy making it, I have to say. I think if this is something that's helpful, it's something I will do more in the future. Have a good day.